Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. So I got a package in the mail a couple of days ago from Joe Dunaway. And whenever I get one of those, you know what that means. It means I got a new Predator painted by the master himself. And I let it sit in the garage for a while because, you know, life happens and I have to kind of be in a certain mood to open a Joe Dunaway Narin work of art. It takes a little bit of time, and you know, you just want to really be in the right frame of mind to enjoy it. I guess it's kind of odd or funny depending on who is listening to this. But like, you know how some people, I guess, like to drink a glass of red wine to relax. You know, they want to feel sort of, you know, happy, and you have to be in a certain mood to do that. Well, I don't drink alcohol. I can't process it very well, so it's never held really any enjoyment for me. But I guess, you know, opening up one of these packages is very similar to that. You know, I want to be by myself, take my time, open up every part of it, inspect it, make sure everything's good, you know, carefully put it together, and then of course enjoy it and then make a little review of it. Some statues I open up and I don't review for days, maybe even weeks. But for one of Joe's pieces, I always try to review the same day that I open up. So this is one of Narin's more recent kits. I think a few of them have been painted. I'm not as, you know, deeply dialed into the Predator resin kit scene. I know there's a couple of really talented painters who's been doing some excellent work, but I don't see them as much. So I think this is one of the first paint ups of this kit that's been done. Certainly from Joe Dunaway, this is the very first one I think that he has put together. So the kit itself is Razzexx, and Narin always gives kind of interesting names to his projects. He's from Thailand, and I don't know sometimes whether it's a language thing or what, but sometimes he gives titles which I don't really understand very well. And so for instance, the one that immediately comes to mind is one that I've done a review of, which is a King Skull Valdez. Again, why the Valdez, I don't know, but this is the Razzex kit. Is it Razzex or Razzex? I don't know, but it's a pretty badass piece. And when Joe paints them, he also gives them various names to sort of distinguish them. Sometimes, you know, he just gives it a number like, you know, I don't know, Death Warrior, you know, 1, 2, 3, 17, Elder Death Warrior, Ultimate Death Warrior, etc. But this is the first that he's built, so he's calling this one Lone Hunter Razzex or Razzex. So this is for more pictures, high quality pictures from Joe's camera. You can go to modelzone.net, I believe, to check it out. So this review will be split into a couple parts because he does come with a lot of different, you know, parts that I want to take the time to put everything together, and then I do want to show a little bit of detail with the flash on. I normally don't do reviews with the flash on just because I think it washes out a lot of the paint job. I used to do that, I think, earlier on, and I think the flash does show some details of the sculpt that would otherwise be lacking just because of the shadows, but the flash also just destroys the subtlety of a paint job. But in this case, I think the flash is useful to showcase some of the things. So where do we start with him? So this is obviously a predator, a hunter. He's walking through a desert type of environment. You can see that the base is very rocky, and you know, on the base you have this enormous skull of some sort of creature. Let's go a little bit deeper. Take a look here. One of the things I always try to do is sort of hold steady and then sort of move it around so you can get a real appreciation of the quality of the sculpt as well as the quality of Joe's airbrushing technique and the layers that he devotes to bring all that beautiful detail out. So I'm trying to sort of angle it, get a little bit closer without the shadows just distorting things. But there's that beautiful skull. I mean, Joe does so many things well. It's hard to pinpoint necessarily, what he's good at. He's good at just about everything when it comes to these Predator kits. But he paints like bone in a very, very unique fashion. I'm a really big fan of his, of course, in case, if you haven't been following my videos, you know this. And I've been commissioning works from him for well over a decade. And over that time, I've built up quite a collection of his works. I'm pretty confident in saying that it's probably the most comprehensive in the world of at least Joe Dunaway's paint jobs for the Predator. There might be I guess a Chinese collector out there that I don't really know about. I guess Joe would ultimately be able to confirm if anybody has more of his pieces than I do. But I think with the final count, I think we're up to close to 40 or something like that, 40 plus pieces. So anyways, I can recognize a Joe Dunaway paint job anywhere. He has a very distinctive style. You can see here that he actually took the time to add even a little bit of mixed media to the base itself, putting in a little bit of twigs and dirt and things like that, just to kind of add a little bit more subtlety. So again, I love the way he does bone. He gives it that kind of carved ivory look, a little bit of that age. And look at the work that Narin put in with the suture lines of the skull, and of course the teeth, the sockets, all of that detail, trying to create this beast that has been killed and the bones are bleaching in the sun. So moving from here, we can go on up to another thing that Joe Dunaway does, in my opinion, better than anybody else, which is the armor. He does worn or faded or weathered gunmetal armor and gunmetal effects better than, again, anybody. So I'm trying to stay still, move it around slowly. And again, you can appreciate, hopefully, the wonderful detail of the armor here. And so we're gonna look here again also at the feet. It's sort of glistening. You can look at the nails. Again, look at the camouflage with the spotting, the contrast of the dots. And so nobody does a Predator's scale coloration quite like Joe. I don't know, after all these years, how he does it and how he makes the modeling so perfect. But every time I get one of his pieces, my jaw always drops. I'm always just sort of constantly in all of his work. So here you go, looking again at the armor and then going up into the legs. He's using very vibrant colors. When he communicated to me, he said he was going for a little bit of an Egyptian vibe. So I think that is kind of the feeling I get as well from some of the colors. And then of course you can see the quills. I like chains. I like a lot of plussing on my Predator kits. Some people may find it too busy, but I really love them. I trust Joe's instincts. And so he always puts all sorts of extra little quills and chains and adding little touches to the stuff he paints for me. Take a look here at the glove, the armor here over the hands. And then this is, of course, the left arm. Again, armored up. Look at the weathering, the scratches. If I say it once, I'll say it a million times. With Joe Dunaway's paint jobs, you can go with the highest definition camera, the best quality. Now, this is just an iPhone X, so it's nothing close to the great quality here, but it does show nice detail and clarity. You can go 2 millimeters, a millimeter away, 4 millimeters away, and it just looks better and better and better. You go backwards and you sort of see how he is from a distance. He looks stunning. But the amazing thing is, the closer you get, it just means that you get to appreciate more of the detail that Narin sculpted into his kits and more of the talent that Joe Dunaway has to bring out all of those details. So check out all of this stuff. You have a gold chain, and it's connecting to his samurai sword, or his, not samurai, it's an Egyptian theme, not Japanese, but to his sword, okay? So backing up, taking a look at the torso, look at the quills all around, the chest, the belly. And then hopefully when I freeze here, you can see all the subtle little modeling, the little tiny dots of the predator's body, and then look at all the scars. He hit all those scars up, and then look at all the little tiny veining that he puts in. That's another Joe trademark of his predators. Is he likes to put little tiny subtle veins all throughout, so you can almost feel it pulsating underneath the skin. So again, an amazing paint job here. All of this stuff is extra. If you were just to get a regular, Narin kit, you will see, kind of what he gives you the basics, and all of the stuff Joe adds is what makes this such a unique work of art. So in this case, this hunter obviously has been scarred up. So again, we get to appreciate that. In the right arm, you can see more of these quills, more of the scales. So these predators, I think, take a lot of inspiration from crocodiles or alligators or snakes, in terms of the pattern of the skin, and then sort of the back is like a lot darker color. So the back is dark, and then the bottom, the so-called, ventral surface is a little bit more light colored. So he definitely paints some kind of like, snakes or lizards. You can definitely see that influence. So looking on the right side, look again at the armor here. He's carrying a gigantic spear. Beautifully done. Look at the weathering of the blade. You can see the little tiny scratches, and then the changes to the bronze, and then again, more detail, more coloring. Here's the glove, and then the armor, of course, of the hands and the forearms. So let's take a look at the back. So you can see, again, all of the bones he's carrying around as trophies. All the predators have beautiful, of course, trophies. Here you can see more beads, more detail. And then you have the serrated knife. And then the other end of the gold chain is actually placed on a little hook over there. And then you actually over here, if you can appreciate it, this is a little bit more like rope. So it's a bit more like multimedia. It's kind of flowing loosely, okay? And of course, this is a very unique thing. I've never actually seen an alien skull carried like a backpack, in the place of the backpack. We've of course seen alien skulls from Narin before, either incorporated as part of the base or elsewhere, or the predators holding it in the hand, for instance. But this is the first time that the skull is worn like a backpack, in the area where the cannon would normally be attached. So I think that's a really nice, unique, addition that sets him apart. And then, of course, getting a little bit closer, you can again see the little piece of metal on the back, almost a little backpack, and then more metal, and of course the modeling of the scales in the back of the predator here. The dreads are all glued in place. Joe had to kind of glue all of this stuff in place and then ship it. He did an amazing job, again, as usual, getting it to me without any damage. And you can see how he blends the colors from black all the way down to the tips, which is a little bit white. So it gives you the impression that this is a predator that's pretty old. I mean, he's not as old as an elder, but the tips of the dreads are starting to get a little bit white, a little bit pale. So he's up there in age, a very experienced hunter. And then finally, of course, we come to the money shot, so to speak, which is the actual head itself. Again, look at the beautiful contouring and the colors of the crown, all of the dreads and the quills as well. And then look at the scars all over the face. He's probably one of the more scarred up predators that I have. And then you can actually see here that he actually has his right eye, but the left eye has been destroyed by scars. So this is a one-eyed predator. And then going deep again, you can see the veining of the inner mouth, and of course the fangs. So this is a very, very beautiful portrait. Now, Narin tends to make his predators have a little bit smaller, beadier eyes, so it's kind of hard to sort of appreciate the detailing of the eyes. You can see it's clouded in shadow, but I'm going to use flash in a second to check some of that stuff out. So This never gets old. Look at all of the subtle veins on the outside. You will never find this in a factory paint job. It's just literally impossible to do. And, I mean, again, all respect to other painters of the Predator out there, but when you're looking at what's happening here, when you're looking, if you want to look for a standard, this is still the standard for all Predator paint jobs. Here it goes. I'm going to freeze, try to remain still. I'm going to look at the pattern of the veins on the outside, the quills. One nice thing I'm really appreciative of is that Joe has actually turned to these softer rubbery quills so that they don't break. In the old days, he used to use rigid ones, and those would break quite often because they're rigid. And so during shipping, if anything happened, the tips would snap off. But with this thing, it looks just as good, and it's way more difficult to damage. So very, very happy about that. So you've seen all of the close-up macro shots from all around. So now I'm going to back up so you can see him in all his glory, striding confidently along. Again, this is not like a huge action pose, but you can see that this is a kit that just basically comes choke full of different details, and is a really, really cool concept. And I think Joe told me that when he first saw the kit itself on Narin's page, he was like, it's okay. We're spoiled by Narin, of course. He comes up with so many awe-inspiring, ridiculous sculpts that sometimes we're a little bit jaded. So before you actually start working on it, there's nothing screaming about this guy. Remember, we're comparing him to things like Bad Blood and Death Warrior, King and Queen, Hellbreed, etc., where these predators are going crazy, they're fighting aliens. This is just a guy who's just kind of very relaxed, powerful, chilling, walking towards you. So on initial glance, there doesn't seem to be anything too remarkable. But I think when you start painting him, which is what Joe did, when he started building him, painting him, then he started really appreciating all of the cool concepts, all of the cool little details, all of the little things that come out. And so, he had a blast putting this together, and of course I'm the beneficiary of that. So again, moving this in a circle, hopefully you can appreciate from further back what this is like. Okay, so really nice. Now this thing does come with 2 switch outs, which is kind of interesting because Narin doesn't usually do that. So one of the things you can switch out, and when I cut back to this video again, I'll have this thing in place, is this thing called a med pack. Apparently is what this is. So I'll give you a close-up view. So this basically would take the place of the alien skull. Obviously, in my opinion, at least, if you're going to display this bad boy, you've got to display it with that alien skull on its back. This is kind of what sets this kit apart from everyone else that Narin has created, of every other Predator kit that he has sculpted. But for those of you who want to change it up, Narin very thoughtfully putting here this classic pack. Okay, and then of course there's an alternate portrait, which is right over here. And Narin now, he didn't always used to do this, but he typically always now sculpts a obviously unmasked portrait right on over here, and then he will sculpt a portrait with the biomask, with the bio helmet, so to speak. And so this is what he decided on. Again, kind of an Egyptian theme. You can still see the same dreads and the same coloration, slowly moving to a white. Nice, very nicely done, weathered, and you can of course see the little cables here. Nice touch by Joe, and moving things around. Again, appreciate some of the detail there. Again, obviously, from my point of view, I would always display it with the unmasked version because that's where, in my opinion, the true beauty of the Predator is shown. So you want that portrait. But it's very nice that, of course, for display and swapping things out, Narin made this available as well, and also very thoughtfully included a separate little stand for you to put the alternate portrait. So this is something that's definitely appreciated. As Narin's creating more and more alternate portraits, the biomask versus the unmasked version, or different portraits like he did with his Logan kit, It's just really nice to have a stand as well, so you can display both and you can have a place to put it. So that is appreciated very much. So here you have it, Lone Hunter Razzex or Razzex. And I'm going to stop the video, and after the cut, I'm going to show him with, well, no, I think what I'm going to do is after the cut, I'm going to use my flash to showcase a few more details of the head that I can't because of the shadows. And then after that, I'll show him with the alternate portrait and the med pack instead of the alien skull. So again, before doing that, I appreciate one more time how amazing this thing looks. I'm just going to turn him so you can see him 360. Right over here. And then under natural overhead room lighting, again, just appreciate right about this distance, how amazing he looks right about here. So I'm gonna move him from side to side. So again, I hope you can appreciate with this video review how it really doesn't matter where you are. You can be far away, so the whole body is shown. You can be mid-way, mid-range, right about here, or you can just go all the way close up, literally to the point where I'm practically touching the actual sculpt. And at any distance, Joe Dunaway's paint job is breathtaking. All right, let me see you after the jump, and we'll take a look at what the flash shows. All right, welcome back. So now we have this on flash with light. So you can see with that, it sort of washes out a lot of the subtle shadows. But again, it brings into stark relief all of the crazy, insane detail that Joe has put into this piece. So this is with, basically flash full on light. It bleaches everything out. It bleaches all the subtlety. But how amazing is it? Even with all of that washed and blasted away, this paint job is still stunning, isn't it? You can now appreciate way more of the work of the airbrushing details, the layers of paint he's put on here, all the quill work. Look at the gunmetal work down here. Here's the base again, so you can definitely see much more detail. This showcases Narin's, artistic talent as well. So check out all of this stuff. Look at that. Here's the blade. This is the spear. And then look back here. Look at all the beautiful detail work. So this is where Flash, the Flash can actually show some stuff. Look at all this stuff. Look at all the quills. Now you can see all of that. Here's the alien. Beautiful work on the bone. There you go. And now, when he was packaging it, he gave me all these warnings. This is something only Joe would do. Check this out. At the very, very bottom of the chin, he actually decided to put 6 little tiny quills. I mean, there's no reason to do that, but he just did it because he's badass. He just wanted to add you that little bit of detail. And so you have to be very careful not to grab him by the chin or you'll snap those quills off. But look at that. He even took the time to put a few little tiny, 6 of them to be specific, a few little tiny quills down there, almost like an unshaven beard. And now you can actually see, again, all of the vein work that he put in. Isn't that amazing? And now take a look. You can see the eye on the right here. And then as we slowly shift over, you can see the ruined, scarred eye on the left. Again, pretty badass. Here is the crown with the mottling, the so-called camouflage. And then moving to the back. And the dreads right there. Okay. So there you have it. This is Lone Hunter Razzex under flash. Back it out. So you can still kind of, as you can see, you back out and the flash's intensity dissipates. And you get, again, a picture very similar to what I had without the flash. But as you get closer and closer and closer, the light gets brighter and brighter. But again, the most amazing thing is all these different ways of showing you the work. It doesn't detract from it. It just shows you his brilliancy in a different light, literally in a different light. So again, I hope you can appreciate with these shots how crazy he is with the detail that he puts into these pieces. Look at the subtle veining. I mean, it just feels like actually it's skin, right? You can go in underneath it, you can actually like, you feel like you can cut it apart. And of course, let's take a look here under flash. You can see the biomask, the bio helmet portrait. Right on over here. Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of the Egyptian, like the Egyptian theme, almost like an AVP. I forget which predator had this type of mask. It's reminiscent of a certain type. I don't know whether it's a P2 or one of the AVP predators, but definitely, you know, I can appreciate the Egyptian theme, and here you can see the gunmetal of the portrait base as well. And you can also see a little bit more of the hoses that are connecting it to the backpack and stuff. Okay, so after this jump, I'm going to show him with the alternate backpack as well as the alternate portrait. Okay, welcome back. So I've replaced the unmasked portrait with the biohelm portrait. So you have an opportunity to see sort of what he looks like. Different sort of presentation. I'm gonna turn him around again. Now we're gonna get a little bit close up. You can see kind of how this mask looks on the full body. Pretty awesome, pretty cool. Definitely a different view. And then instead of the alien skull, you can see what he looks like with a smaller, more classic gunmetal weathered med pack or backpack, so to speak. And with this, you can see a bit more, you can have a bit more appreciation with the back armor design. Right over here, you can see more of that. Here it goes. Again, pretty cool. And then as you can see, the portrait base holds both portraits very nicely. And then here you can actually appreciate the details of this amazing paint job. And then you can see all of the details here at the bottom that normally would not be available to be appreciated. So yeah, crazy good as usual. Now, one of the things that also sets Joe Dunaway apart is, you know, Predator pieces, statues, what have you, finished kits are notoriously fragile. There's so many things that can break: the dreads, the quills, the spears, the swords. The list goes literally on and on. You can take a look at all the things that can go wrong. And so, just over the years, Joe has always been a master packer. Knock on wood. I don't really think that I've ever had anything come from him with major damage. I mean, sometimes maybe the littlest, tiniest thing, but it's super rare. And so he has a knack for doing it. If you buy a Predator Narin or Joe Dunaway Predator piece from anybody else, including me, let me tell you, buyer beware. It's really hard to ship them properly without some sort of damage. Now, obviously, you say just use bubble wrap or peanuts, and he does use that. He has a very special way, a special technique of packaging and shipping them so that they don't break. So I will end on kind of giving you a hint of, number one, why you have to be in a special mood to open up a Dunaway Narin work of art, why you need some alone time, and why Joe is such an amazing paint master from beginning to end. So I'm going to move away here. Check out just for this 1/6 scale statue to package this. Look at this here. So this is all of the packaging that he used to protect the head, protect all of that, all of those quills. I mean, this is just crazy, stunning. So this is all of the packaging he used to ship this piece here safely and again without damage. So what else is there to be said about this work of art? Lone Hunter Razzex, one of Narin's more recent kits. I think, you know, eventually Joe will also be putting together a samurai for me, one of the samurai kits that Narin released, I think, a year ago. And I have some other stuff that, you know, he has working for me. I have a lot of cool Predator kits, a lot of them from Narin. I think I own most of them. I'm missing a couple here or there, but I own most of them. You know, the minute Joe finishes one project, I always give him another one. And that's been going on for quite a few years now. So eventually what I'd like to do is get a display cabinet and then put together all of his stuff. And I think it would make for quite a stunning display. But that's a little bit later on in my life when I have a bit more time and room. But I hope for those of you who appreciate this type of thing, I hope you enjoyed, again, this comprehensive video. Whenever, again, you have a new Narin kit painted by Joe Dunaway, such as this, it's always a moment, you know, to celebrate. So give you a little, end with a little profile view. Pretty cool. So until next time, do take care, and thanks for watching.